Welcome to Movie World Plus, the place where we talk movies, plus streaming, plus whatever I want to talk about. And today, we are talking about The Batman. That's right, I got to see Matt Reeves' latest Batman adaptation starring Robert Pattinson, and I've got some thoughts, guys. Now, before I get to my review, I do want to plug that I'm giving away some sweet Batman swag. You can only get this here. That's right, it's got a puzzle, a shirt, backpack. You can learn how to win all this cool stuff by staying tuned to the end of this video. I'll give you the details because you're gonna have to watch my Batmobile tour. That's right, I got a whole in-depth look at the Batmobile, the outfits, and they all look stunning. So make sure you stay tuned at the end of this video to learn how you can win all this sweet Batman stuff. All right, getting to this review. Let me start, first of all, we're not gonna do any spoilers here. Not going to spoil this movie by any stretch of the imagination. I am going to share some feelings, though, about the film. Now, I want to get it out right up the way. Like, I loved that we got to see an adult detective story of Batman. This is a film noir, as a lot of you are expecting, and as you've been warned, and I really did enjoy that. It was nice to have something different and have something more David Fincher-esque. It really does have that tone. It's definitely more Zodiac or Seven. However, I would argue that the mystery of those two films was better, but it's still a longer. It's longer. We're gonna get there in a second. It's a layered detective story, and with like voiceover that feels like an Alan Moore graphic novel. So there's gonna be a lot of you that just love this film. I have no doubt. But there's just nothing shocking about the plot. It's fine. It's serviceable. I enjoyed it. But from a plot perspective, I feel like I've seen better episodes of Batman the Animated Series. So look, I'm going in with some mixed feelings here. Overall, I do like the film. I think you should see this film. I'm probably just going to attempt to lower your expectations. Hopefully you go see this film and you love it. That's the goal of any of this. I'm not trying to tell you how to feel about the movie. I'm going to give you a little bit of a mixed review that ultimately is a positive because, look, at the end of the day, this is a solid movie. This is a solid movie, and I'm going to get into the reasons why I thought it was solid. But I'm also going to share some of my frustrations because I've had a few days to really sit on it, and I don't think it's the best Batman movie we've gotten. It's good. It's solid, and I do want to see more in this universe, I think. But I'm so looking forward to talking more in depth with you guys after you all see it. And I do highly recommend you go to the theaters to see it. This is a movie theater movie just go see it in the theaters, get some popcorn, enjoy it. Just be prepared. It's long. It is very long. Now I got some notes here. I'm going to be going through my notes as we go through this. And that's my first big note. The length. The film is nearly 3 hours, and I have to admit, I felt it. I did feel it. Now, look, like I said, I enjoyed the movie overall. I wanted to see a more serious Batman standalone film. But audiences, you got to be prepared for this. This is a 3-hour movie. It is a noir thriller. More than an action movie. Now, it does have action, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but I think regular moviegoers, if you aren't just like so excited about the idea of a David Fincher noir, slow build thriller version of the Batman, which I think, the general movie-going audience may not be, I'm curious to see how this does ultimately over time. That said, a lot of you are going to just love it for that reason alone. Now, the film doesn't have a lot of action. That was not a problem for me. I didn't need more action. When the film does have action, it worked. Robert Pattinson's, beatdown scene that you've seen the trailer, it works for me. It does there's a Batmobile chase that again they've shown part of in the trailer. The chase itself edited a little weirdly, but the payoff and overall really well done. When they step up the action, it does work. I didn't need a lot of action. However, I'd argue the last third act of this film, which I'm not going to get into details about, it's like a detective story, and the last act feels like it's overcompensating for the lack of action. And I think it's like has a Lord of the Rings problem where there's just a lot of endings. And overall, that's what I think ultimately left a bad taste in my mouth. I just think he didn't need to go so big with the finale, and I don't know if that was a note the studio gave or what he was trying to get, but it was frustrating they couldn't just focus on the story of the detective story and make that more interesting and more shocking. Sadly, it's a run-of-the-mill detective story. Now, as you guys know, I did want to say, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. The length, before I get into the plot and stuff, the length is definitely noticeable. They could have easily trimmed 20, 30 minutes out of this movie, and I think it would have been tighter. And the reason I say that is because there's just a lot of moments as an editor and as watching, just so many moments lingered. And when you have a lot of lingering moments, it just, the important character moments that I feel like should be lingering, so you really feel them, feel less impactful, because I think Matt and his editor, Matt Reeves and the editor, just didn't trim as much as I think they should have. They clearly were very into everything they were making and felt like this was a nice long story. And it's not a streaming show, it's a movie in the movie theaters, and I think he could have had a more impactful overall experience if he had trimmed at least 20 minutes out of this film, and it could have been done, I think, easily. That's just my feelings. All right, now getting this week, you guys know it's year 2. This is what we're getting Batman. It's year 2 of Batman. Bruce Wayne's Gotham City experiment as Batman. He's keeping a journal. Criminals know of the Batman. They are afraid of the shadows, wondering if he could be lurking inside them. They are afraid of this masked vigilante. That said, Batman is definitely still learning as well. He's going through his own growing pains. Can he overcome the trauma that he's gone through as a child? Will he face those fears and become the Batman that we all know and love? And I think that's sort of where the Batman title really comes in, because criminals know of the Batman in the shadows, but I think Robert Pattinson's character in this movie is still trying to figure out, what is this Batman? Can he become the Batman we all really want him to be? That's ultimately what this movie is about. Now, again, it's year 2, but as I was sitting on it, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight Batman, correct me if I'm wrong, as I Googled to verify this, he had really basically just spent a year as Batman after already, training with the League of Shadows, etc., which is unclear how long he did that for. But Batman Begins, he becomes Batman, and then it's basically a year as Batman before he's facing the Joker, and we're in the middle of Dark Knight, and then he goes off in his retirement for whatever it was, way too many years. So what's frustrating is, like, we have seen this before. We've seen it before, and I gotta say, I think we did see it better, ultimately. He even shot it in Chicago. Gotham City has a lot of the same vibe as the Nolan trilogy because he uses elements of Chicago. Now, he changes the tone. It's definitely shot beautifully, don't get me wrong. It has a tone, like a feeling of its own, sort of. He's definitely darker. Matt Reeves goes even darker, and there's like shades of red. There's like a different color palette and definitely a different detective energy overall, but it's still impossible to not make some comparisons to Nolan. His tones definitely seep throughout a lot. And I just got to say, I think I would have preferred to see Reeves play in the Nolan universe longer, or even see Reeves play with Affleck's older Batman in something more grounded. I think this year 2 version does feel a little unnecessary, since, guys, we have been there. Bale's Batman did he even get to year 2? It's sort of unclear. He didn't have a very long run as Batman, and I would have preferred more of that. This Batman isn't as versed in being Batman. He's good at his job, but he's still, I don't want to spoil things, but there's still clearly some things he's going through, which I didn't feel like Nolan did in the same way. And that comparison, I think, is going to be an issue for some fans. Now, all right, let's get to some positive. I got to focus on positive because I've been critiquing, and some of you are going to be mad at me for seemingly not loving this film, I'm sure. But we got to talk about the performances, and the performances are fantastic in this film, particularly the villains. Now, villains typically always overshadow the heroes in these Batman movies, let's be honest. And they do again here. Dano's Riddler is creepy as hell. I really enjoyed it. The serial killer vibe he gives works a lot. Behind this weird like rubber suit thing he's got on, he really shines through as this riddling psychopath. And I gotta say, bravo to Dano. And Colin Farrell, holy crap, I still can't get over the fact that that's him. He just gets completely lost in this role through the prosthetics and the accent. It's just, he brings like a mafia leading penguin in that I think really does work. And I did like that vibe of it. That is where the movie does excel. While I'm having some issues with sort of the comparisons and things I'm saying, the villains do lift it up a bit for sure. And overall is why I'm more positive than I am negative on this. Colin Farrell, just fantastic. And Zoë Kravitz is good. She's good. It's she's also learning her ways. She's not like the full Catwoman we would expect to see. She's not your usual Catwoman. She's starting out. And her character really helps to bring in the plot's mystery together. Her reluctance to join Batman and them building their trust together is definitely a good solid part of the movie. But I gotta say, I did like Jeffrey Wright's relationship with Batman even better as Commissioner Gordon. He's just a good cop who believes in this mass vigilante, thinks he has good intentions, and we really get to watch these two build the trust together throughout the film as they're piecing together the riddles and the mystery, and he makes for a good partner. This is definitely a needed character for this year 2 version, and a character that this Batman absolutely needs to sort of get things done. And then we have Andy Serkis. I forgot to pull a picture. Andy Serkis as Alfred, also fantastic. I wouldn't have predicted that. Not to say that I'm not an Andy Serkis fan, but it's clear after doing Planet of the Apes together, Matt Reeves just sees even more in him than I think all of us do, and I'm glad he did, because he really brought a lot to the table here to let us learn more about Bruce Wayne. So that gets us to the man, Robert Pattinson. Now, does Robert Pattinson work? Yeah, ultimately, I think he does. I do think he works. As I sat and really thought about this, like, is he a great Batman? A lot of people were asking me, Andy, does he work? Does he work? The reality is, like, I don't really actually love any of the Batmans more than I do the villains, typically. Like, if you go back, I respect Adam West, obviously silly, legend. Michael Keaton was who I grew up on, and he's awesome. I liked him. Even Bale, like, does a great job before even Bale, we got to factor in, I think Kilmer was actually pretty solid. And I don't think Clooney is the reason Batman and Robin is so bad. Bale toughened the character up, and it works. Affleck, I thought solid. It was nice to see an older Batman, more grizzled Batman. But in all of the Batmans I listed off, I always like the villains more. The performances of the Batman are never like what blow me away. It's just they're being the character. So it really comes down to like your personal views of the character of Batman and of Bruce Wayne. And for me, it worked. In my views of Batman, he's tough. He's still learning. He's doing things for the first time in a way. He's a strong detective and hero, but he's still working his way to again be the Batman. And so by the end of the film, will he get there? Will it work for you? It worked for me. Ultimately, it did work for me. I am curious to see more of this Batman, I think. He satisfied me. His Bruce Wayne could use some work. It's still like a mopey morning Bruce Wayne, so I hope we can get better with his Bruce Wayne. But overall, I do have to say, Pattinson, look, he's smaller. He's still Robert Pattinson, but he doesn't look like Edward at any point. I never thought, like, this is the Twilight guy. He steps it up. He does a good job. I got no beef with Robert Pattinson in this. The music in this film is great. I'm just going through my list of other things. I really loved the score, but be prepared for Nirvana's Something the Way. They play it multiple times, so you're either going to be into that or not into that. Again, action, like I told you, it's good. I really liked it, but it did feel like overcompensating at the end. Some might say there's a lack of action. I had heard that from some of my critic friends who had seen it early, and I think they're right. Some people will be annoyed. It didn't. That's not what bothered me. It's just the overall length felt long. It really did feel long, and I think the finale just not as effective. That said, to be honest, I've never really loved any of the finales of Batman Begins, Dark Knight. The finales always end up being the big thing that you don't really never satisfies, at least for me. It's okay, but I will say there is a cameo moment that I'm not going to spoil. Felt incredibly unnecessary to me. Some of you guys will love it. For me, I just thought it was just completely out of place, and I don't know why it was there. I'm not telling you anything more about it, so don't go spoil it if you don't want to spoil it. I'm sure you could find it if you wanted to. But another thing where it just felt like, did we need that? There's a lot of this stuff of like, did we need that? Overall, though, I got to say, I liked it. I liked this version. I think Matt Reeves is trying his best here. It's a tough role to follow up with Nolan, but it's nice to have a more Nolan-esque Batman series rolling again. Nolan won't let people play in that playground. So while I would have loved to have seen Reeves in that playground, it's nice to have another serious Batman movie back. And I think seeing what he did with the villains and seeing this is more of a detective story, I got to say, overall, I'm happy with it, and I think this could have some great things. Is this the best Batman movie yet? No, I don't think it is. I think Nolan's Batman Begins, Dark Knight are still better films. Dark Knight Rises, I'm not a huge fan of. I might put this one there, but that'll be the debate. But for me, Batman Begins is still the best Batman movie that we got so far. This one is solid. It's good, and I think you guys, a lot of you are going to like it more than I did, without a doubt. So I'm not here to like try to ruin it for you. I did want to be honest about it because I do think this movie will not please everybody. It's 3 hours long, guys, and it's a detective movie that some people are just gonna be like, all right, I know the beats of this detective story. Doesn't mean it's not interesting. It doesn't mean it's not thrilling. Doesn't mean it doesn't have some surprising character moments. But overall, it's not Seven. You know what I mean? It's not David Fincher 7 where you're like on the edge of your seat following the plot. That movie didn't have Batman in it, but Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Spacey just step it up to a degree where you're just watching the story and you're so invested in the story that I wish this movie had a story as strong as the David Fincher movies that it's compared to. It just sadly doesn't. So we have to fall back on the performances, the set pieces, and they're good. They're good. For me right now, they're not great. That said, we don't have a lot of movies to get to watch in theaters these days, so I think there will be a lot of people who are just going to accept this movie for what it is because we just haven't had any good ones in a long time. So for that reason, I get it. A lot of you, I think, will like it. It's like Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man. It's really fun. I loved it in the theater experience. I still give it 2 thumbs up. But is it the best movie of all time? No, it's definitely not. It's a fun movie. This one's not so much fun. It's good. It's solid. And I'm very much looking forward to see what you guys think when you see it in the theaters, which I do advise you go see. Only in theaters March 4th. Is that right? Well, there it is. This Friday, I believe. It's coming out in theaters. I am sure you've gotten your tickets. If you haven't, I suggest you do. Go see it for yourself. Make up your own mind. Come back and let me know what you think. I definitely want to do a Batman conversation once you guys all get the chance to see it. So stay tuned. We'll be doing some more movie content here. So I need you guys to subscribe, and that's how you're going to get into this contest. Subscribe, hit the bell for all alerts, smash that like button, and leave a comment down below. But if you'd like to win this amazing Batman swag, that's right, I got a backpack, I got a Batman t-shirt, I got a puzzle, all this amazing Batman stuff. If you want to win it, go watch the video at the end of this, my Batmobile video. Go show it a like. Go pay attention to the information there. It'll tell you how to sign up to get entered into this contest and win the swag. Thank you guys so much for watching. What are you excited for in the Batman? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for more movie content here on Movie World Plus.